Hi guys!
Hello.
So my sister is back with me today and we are going to be talking about Poldark. It's the Series 2 Episode 1 aired here on Sunday, so that was like, 5 days ago now. We've watched it multiple times, so now we're going to talk about it. So if you don't want to be spoiled, turn this video off now, because we're going to be talking really in depth. We know we're going to be tearing elements apart, so if you don't want to be spoiled, turn away.
Yeah, go away.
Bye. Right, you've been warned. Right. So, Laura, initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts were, I just want to get the entire crew of that, not necessarily the cast, but the crew.
Yeah.
The cinematographer.
Yeah.
I just want to bow to, because
you want to buy them all the drink.
Holy mother.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. I mean, I've been to Cornwall, and I know from my own experiences how beautiful it is. But that helicopter shot at the beginning.
My God, there were so many. There were probably about 4 or 5 helicopter shots, I think, in this first episode. I'm like, give me 10 every episode, please. They were stunning. And it just set the pace, because you had a previously on Poldark, kind of 30-second catch-up thing. And then suddenly you just saw these rocks and the waves, and then it panned upwards, and you realised it was a helicopter shot.
I tell you what.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
They were lucky with the weather to be able to do that.
Oh my God, because the weather was...
Cornwall, I mean, you've never been there, have you? But I have. I've been there loads. Cornwall is a magical, just phenomenal place. Anyway, but the weather... You can have height of summer and deepest, darkest winter in the same hour.
Yeah.
It's a very, I think,
and to be honest, when they shot it, it wasn't, weather-wise, it was okay at that time of year, wasn't it? But it wasn't the best. It wasn't.
So
for them to get these clear blues across, my God, it was just
phenomenal.
They must have just picked the perfect time for...
They're filming season 3 right now.
Yes, they are.
And Britain,
glorious.
Britain is glorious.
It's like 23, 24 degrees, no rain. It's just, apart from there's going to be rain tomorrow. But,
I know, like, people in America are going to be like, that's nothing, and I get that. Yeah, but it's hot for us.
For us, yeah. We don't have air conditioning. We don't do because do any of that. That doesn't happen. We don't get really hot weather in our country.
Anyway, let's talk.
Okay, let's talk. Let's break it down. Okay. So should we talk about where characters are? Like Demelza. I loved that her opening bit was her kind of with Julia in regards to, we see her alone in the house because Ross has been arrested, and she is sat over on Julia's bed, and she puts a flower on Julia's bed and says her name. And that just sets the tone exactly where her head is at.
I really liked that, because it would be very easy to kind of forget about Julia, because they did her arc in season 1. And
but the thing about Demelza, and you'll see it, I don't know if they'll do this in the series as well in all subsequent years, she always celebrates Julia's birthday.
Oh, does she?
She always.
Right.
She's always, all the children know about Julia.
Right, okay.
You'll never forget her.
But, like, what I liked is that they could have so easily been distracted by Ross and the trial and all the family stuff
going on,
that they kind of just forgot about Julia. But what I loved is that, yes, Julia is present, that it's not forgotten. It's, I know it's within like 2 days of Julia's death, 3 days of Julia's death,
but because it's a new series,
exactly, and because it's been 18 months, they could have literally gone, okay, we won't mention Julia ever again. I really liked that Debbie Horsfield decided to do that, because the loss of a child, I have 2 children, and I can't even imagine what that kind of loss would feel like.
And the fact that for Demelza also, she never got to say goodbye.
Exactly.
She didn't have that moment. So that always, I think.
And I've got to give it to Eleanor Tomlinson as well. I think her portrayal of Demelza, particularly when she went to see Ray Penvenen, that's it, was, you could see the wheels in her head turning. Like you could kind of say,
who could the judge be? Do you know? You know, kind of.
Yeah,
She
uses her charm and her femininity to get information
and
out
that is what is so interesting about Demelza's character. That yes, she's not from that society, yet she has this ability. She has this something in her, this spark that draws that society to her. So she's able to go see Ray Penvenen and ask those questions. She's able to do those things, whereas other characters wouldn't be able to, or they would say, "Oh, this is below my station to do it," and she's not like that.
No.
If there's something that's got to be done, because she knows what, being poor and all that is, she'll do it.
And my favourite character, other than Ross and Demelza, obviously.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
And the whole thing. Because if I get to her age and I get to that level of shade, I live. Is Aunt Agatha.
Yeah.
Aunt Agatha is just phenomenal. I love the way she'll look at them like, what? Like, really?
Because what she does in the book, it's said in the book that she's not deaf, but she pretends that she is from time to time, just to annoy people.
I'm doing
just to wind you up.
I'm putting it on record now. I'm going to do that when I get to that age. I'm like...
But yeah, she does it because she finds it fun, but she very much believes in the cards and what they say, and that was very prominent at the end of the episode.
The editing in that sequence at the end of the episode was amazing. I'm just...
amazing. Can we talk about another character?
Go on then.
New character. Caroline
Penvenen.
I adore
Caroline Penvenen.
She is a woman of society. She's grown up in London. She lives in London. She's come to see her uncle Ray, and she's a woman of society who can see right through every single
She's
person.
a modern woman in the 18th century, isn't
and
she
will say it to their faces.
Yeah.
And there's a point in this episode where she met George. And she ripped him to pieces and basically called him a snake to his face. And her uncle's just trying to calm her. Like, Caroline, really? We don't. But she didn't care.
No.
She just doesn't care. And you can totally understand why in from this point on and all subsequent books, her and Ross are lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of equal in that that nature and that understanding. She's probably more bolder in regards to that she will say more to someone's face. She's
the only woman in his life that doesn't cause him any complications either. I mean, to be fair, that is entirely his fault that those complications arise. And I am not letting him off any hooks.
No. I'm just thinking subsequent books with what happens with Dwight later on.
Really? What have I forgot? Have I forgotten something?
No, because obviously spoilers about the book in the future. I've said this in my Poldark books before. The whole Dwight with their first child dies.
Oh yeah.
Dwight leaves and goes overseas, and he gets captured, and she makes him. This is during Napoleon's, the fight.
Napoleonic Wars.
She makes Ross go to France and bring him back.
Right, okay.
So it's like
she's not in time.
He nearly dies to bring Dwight back. To save their marriage. So you can say
she's not entirely
unproblematic. But that is a while away.
Right, okay.
So, she does establish their friendship very firmly before that happens.
Okay.
I love how bold she is, and the fact that there was this whole scene which is pretty much, I have to say, from my memories of the book, it has been like over a year, nearly a year since I read it. Like whole scenes are like word for word.
Yeah.
The same, and I love her first scene with Dwight.
Yeah,
because her dog has taken sick, and she keeps on feeding it really rich food, and she doesn't let it walk. She carries it everywhere with her, and it's gotten sick. And she calls Dwight, who's in the area, obviously for the trial. She's called a doctor, and he's turned up, and he's like, "You don't need me. You need a vet. You need a."
Did you spot something though?
Oh no! Let me just finish.
All right.
Is it a farrier? Does he say for a vet? That's what they
farrier.
Call it. Farrier. Sorry.
Which is
for horse. For horses. Sorry, yeah. For horses. And she says, "No, there's something wrong with my dog. I've got money, and I will pay you to look after him." And he's kind of like, and then she does a very human thing, and she says, "Well, didn't you used to have a dog that you looked after when you were a kid?" And that stops him and makes him turn around.
See, I did
talk to her, so he respect. It's like she gets that. Okay, look, I've got this money. I'm willing to give it to you, but there's a. I'm properly from the heart doing this.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
I did really like the way that they did that, because in the 75 version, Caroline comes across as being a lot more spoiled,
right?
Whereas this Caroline was much more. She's just telling it as it is. She's like, well, you're a doctor.
Yeah.
You must have experience of animals at some point.
Yeah.
I'm paying you. Do your job.
Yeah.
Basically.
Help me.
But Gabriella Wilde was pregnant when she was playing.
Oh, really?
That, and the pug was used to distract from the bub.
Oh, I didn't. Well, there you go. I didn't know that. So, yeah.
No, I really, really enjoyed Caroline Penvenen.
Yeah.
And I think, judging by that little look that they gave each other, I think she and Aidan Turner are going to have lovely chemistry as friends as well.
Which is what you need, because she is that. They are so on perfect level with each other. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely fantastic.
I've got to say,
love the fact that they're characters of opposite sex.
Yes,
it's like
that very rarely happens.
It very rarely happens that you have two people of the opposite sex that are just friends in books, and then they can just be friends.
Another relationship like that, which I've always loved, is Hayley and Lucas in One Tree Hill.
Ah, true.
So they love each other as brother and sister. Not they're not as brother and sister, but they're like,
that's how they were raised. So,
and they are absolute best friends. There is that not even an iota of a hint of anything between the two of them, and I think that's something that definitely needs more recognition in books and in TV series, because there is always the temptation to put in another love story in a story. But what I wanted to say, though, was I find it really fascinating how Winston Graham put Demelza, Caroline and Elizabeth in these books, 3 women who all tell the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
They are all very honest about their own feelings, and they don't think, they just do. I really, as particularly male writers who give their women agency.
Yeah.
I mean, we might do another video about that.
Yeah, we could do.
Because
talk about women in literature.
I'm reading the Throne of Glass series at the moment. I will get back to Poldark, I promise. But that's full of
in a minute.
Women who have agency. It's written by a woman. It's written by Sarah J. Maas. But that's when you have women who do.
Yeah.
I am there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm so much more engaged as a woman when I see another woman doing and not.
And have you noticed also the men in Poldark, even though obviously you've got Ross and Jonathan, the women are more prominent. I feel. Yeah, I really feel.
I mean, look at Verity.
Yes.
Verity is such a great character because she was your blue stocking, stay at home, look after dad, look after brother. I mean, I think if she hadn't met Blamey and left, she would have been a nursemaid to Geoffrey Charles and whatever subsequent
she become what Aunt Agatha is.
Exactly. And I think Aunt Agatha realises that she's actually in a position of power because she can just sit and watch and wait.
That's why I love that moment where she knows she's got that letter. She pretends she's sort of sleeping, but she knows she's got that letter, and she waits until the perfect moment to give her that letter. It's wonderful.
I mean, her timing when who is it? Francis says, "What's the matter with the women in this family?" She goes, "The men." I was crying. I was like, I fucking love you.
Right, let's get back to this episode. Okay, can we talk about Francis?
Yes, go on.
Please. Right, Francis has now reached this point where he's realised what George is doing.
Yes.
George is... Right, really stupidly, Elizabeth fell under George's trap in regards to that he said, "Oh, I know. Why don't I help? While she's in town by herself.
So dumb.
Why don't I find the judge who's going to be doing the trial and see if I can sweet talk him to releasing Ross?" And she thinks that this is genuine, and she even brings him to the house and everything, and said, with Ross and Demelza, and Ross says no. Francis then arrives, and says basically, "What the hell are you doing?" Because he doesn't agree with it whatsoever. Then it kind of, and George releases this pamphlet which completely rips apart Ross's character, and he knows that George is, and he basically tells him, "We're done, we're through. Screw you." And I love that, even though Francis is going through a really horrific time where he is in his head and everything, how he's in debt to George, and now that he's basically told George to fuck off, it's a huge deal because that has basically screwed over the entire family of where they're positioning. So, but the fact that he did it, I have to totally respect Francis.
I do. I love this part of Francis's story.
Yeah.
Because he really does come into his own.
Oh, yeah.
He mends bridges with Demelza, with Ross.
Yeah.
He really tries, and that's what makes it so tragic later on.
Which is the end of this series. Yeah, no, it will. It'll be about halfway through the series.
Really? Right.
Because it's the beginning of Warlagan.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Right. Well, I've got to say, though, Kyle Soller... I loved Kyle Soller as Francis because he does...
He gets it, doesn't he?
He does, but the gentleman that I don't know his name, the man that played Francis in the 1975 version,
I don't know.
He does do Francis's journey very, very well, but he doesn't give Francis as much vulnerability as Kyle Soller does.
Right. Okay.
But then again, it could just be a difference in acting styles.
It could be different times
exactly,
as well.
Exactly, because...
Like, look at Shakespeare of the 1970s to now.
From what I understand, when they made Poldark back in the 70s, it was like a stage play.
Yeah.
When they weren't doing the exteriors, the interior, it was literally like a theatre that they were filming. And the scenes are really long.
Yeah.
They're not like these short,
it's like a play.
It is like a play. And he really, the guy that plays him, really puts his all into Francis. You can see that.
Yeah.
But Kyle Soller gives Francis so much more vulnerability. You can see the little boy inside of him begging for attention.
Trying to understand why his cousin is
the bit when he said goodbye to Elizabeth.
Oh my God.
And I was like...
That killed me.
He wants to bless Elizabeth and tell her she did well. Even though they've made each other so unhappy.
She did the most stupid thing where she was like, "Oh, sometimes I wonder what it would be like if Ross never came home." And
I was like, "Girl, shut up! Just speak. Stop talking." That was
right.
Did you not feel that in your heart?
Oh yeah.
I was like,
so when he then says goodbye,
it's done. Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah. What I really...
A line has been drawn now.
What I loved as well in the beginning was when they were talking about... Were they talking about Julia? Because Francis was talking about the pamphlet that had been...
Yeah.
And the only person that he knew that would have the money and the motivation was George.
Yeah, and Elizabeth was reading it, and she was reading it out loud, wasn't she?
And she says... we're in debt to George, and he says something like, "No, we're in debt to Ross." Yeah, because of Julia.
Because of Demelza. And I loved like when he met Ross when they were riding their horses, and he's like, "Cousin, I want to talk to you." And Ross wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah. But then I love the moment in the final episode where he puts his hands on Ross's shoulder at Julia's funeral.
And you know what makes that all amazing? That is one change from the book.
Right.
Because he's not there. He's too sick.
Right.
He can't be there. So the fact that they did, that was a change from the book where I went, I love you for doing that.
Yeah.
I love you for doing that.
Francis's character is so fascinating because he's the underdog who becomes equal.
Yeah.
And then just at the point where he's doing so well, it all falls away, and it's tragic.
Can I just going back to Elizabeth? There was a subtle thing that I noticed from the very first time I saw it, and I thought, no, it's just me playing, and I can't stop seeing it now.
What?
From the point, where Ross came to the house to Demelza, and that's when she said George about finding the judge and everything.
Yeah.
That's the first scene, and then every scene after that, she's got her hair down. She always has her hair up. in every episode she's had, apart from the flashback when she was young and they were kissing and he gave her the ring. So does that, because I'm just thinking about where that leads to, is it her subtle way of that it's starting to creep in? I'm just thinking subtlety and little thing, those little things.
Do you know what? Sometimes,
and I was just like, am I just being really stupid spotting this or what?
I just want to say, he's not that into you. Just
stop this. It's just but he'll lead to her downfall. In the end, won't it?
It will. And I have to say, as you're doing a Poldark video, or we're doing a Poldark video, I love, because I'm married and Becky's not married, I love that this portrays a marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is, I mean, I love my husband dearly. I love him very, very much. But it's a very difficult thing to take one person from one family, one person from another family, who may have completely different ideas, and to fuse that together to make a life.
Yeah.
And marriage is not something that it's not all rainbows and picnics.
No.
And I feel that a lot of books and films, they portray a wedding as being the goal.
Yes.
That's kick-off.
Yeah.
That's not half-time or full-time. No. Do you know what I mean?
And let's face it, if you think about it, even though Demelza was with Ross, as a servant for quite a while, not really, it didn't really depict that in the series, because the actual, from the point where she arrives to the point where they get married, that's actually 4 years in the book. So, and she goes from a 12-year-old to a 16-year-old. So obviously time has shifted. But in the TV series, obviously it wasn't very long. But even 4 years, because of the way that, their status, how she's a servant and he's the master, they haven't really got to know each other. It's after they get married that they learn about each other. And that's what is so fascinating.
Claire and Jamie do the same thing in Outlander.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Yeah.
Because they get married really quickly.
They do. She's married to him by page 250.
Yeah.
It's
which is not far into the book, by the way.
No, it's not. Not at all. But that is fascinating when you do get two people who understand each other so well that they almost know what the other person's going to do before they do it.
And that's why I especially love that bit when he's chopping wood and such, he's doing the chores, and she comes out and she says something like, see me lying in like the Queen of Sheba and you're doing the chores. Our relationship's really flipped, hasn't it? Kind of thing. Just playing around, and then they just have this moment where they just stood there with their foreheads touching each other, holding each other, saying, can't we stay like this forever? Because he's going to be going later that morning to prison because he has to be there for the day before the trial. And then the moment when they leave, when Judy, and I find that moment really, really interesting, because it is that thing that Demelza can't imagine being without Ross, so she can't say goodbye to him, and she pushes him away and says, no, I can't say goodbye. But also I was thinking about it on another level in regards to where her mind is at, in that, she never got to say goodbye to Julia, and what if goodbyes are tainted, that kind of thing. So that also plays into that really emotional moment. It was very interesting watching that scene.
Demelza is so brave as well, because she completely ignores him when he says, I don't want you to be there. And she's like, she's like, no, I won't be there. And then the next thing, she's on the coach to Bodmin, and she's like, of course I'm going to bloody be there. What and she is trying her hardest to think of ways in to this.
Yeah, and I love the fact that George saw her coming to the hall where Penvenen was, because she wanted to speak to him, and he tells the guards, she goes, that woman is a slut, don't let her in here on any grounds. So she's barred, she can't go in, and she goes back to the hotel later, and she sat there on the bed, and then she's like, right, and then she just gets up and she goes out, and we don't know yet what she's done. I know what she's done.
I got to say,
but she's like, no, I've got to make sure that this happens.
I really liked how again, I should have like the cast list in front of me. The guy that plays George, I don't know what his name is.
I'll put it in the description of the video.
I'm sure you know who I mean. Yeah, but how he has hardened George already this season.
Yeah.
Because do you remember when Julia died? He was genuinely shaken.
And he went to see Ross.
He did. He was genuinely shaken by that.
Sorry. Yeah.
But then his uncle died.
Yeah.
And did you notice how his dad was like, well, the murder charge isn't going to stick because he was dead when he hit the shore.
Mm.
And George didn't care.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting that in those few days, he has
hardened. This is the thing about George and going forward with subsequent books, what he does.
Mm.
You know, getting Elizabeth. Spoiler alert, obviously, for future. Marrying Elizabeth. You know, flaunting the child in his face, Valentine, even though technically he's not his child, but you know, screwing him over in every possible way. You know, murdering Aunt Agatha. He does. He kills
Aunt Agatha. You bastard, George.
He does. She, because Elizabeth is dead. Right. Elizabeth is dead. This is like 10 years after Elizabeth is dead. She's still alive. She's still kicking. Aunt Agatha, and it is her.
You and me, Aggie. BFF.
She believes it's her 100th birthday or something.
Right.
She's in her room and everything, and she's really quite frail. And George comes in, and she basically, you know, does her usual thing of getting in his face in any way possible. And he was like, "Oh, I've been to records. I managed to find records departments. You know, about your birth certificate. You're not 100, love. You're like 97 or something." And she's like, "Fuck you, I am 100. I know how old I am." And he's like, "Oh, well, if you know how old you are, then you'll know how to get out of bed, won't you?" And he goes and shuts the door and locks it. And leaves her.
That's horrendous.
He leaves her to starve to death.
Oh my God.
She's too frail. She's had a stroke or something. She's too frail to get out of bed.
Oh my God.
He has no time for her. He hates her. And she's in a frail position where she can't get out of bed and help herself or anything.
Oh, that's going to be horrible to watch that.
So even the point where he'll murder Aunt Agatha.
That's going to be really
He destroys
terrible.
Geoffrey Charles as much as possible. He puts him in boarding school. He doesn't let him. I can't remember if he even lets her come to the funeral of Elizabeth. It's like he does whatever he possibly. But
lots to look forward to.
Geoffrey Charles completely flourishes, and I love that there's a part of Francis that is still alive whose best friend is Ross, who is like in Harry Potter where Harry's godfather to Lupin's son.
Yeah.
In the
What's
books.
His name, Lupin's son? Teddy, right.
And there's always this place at the table. He's always got somewhere to say. Ross is that person.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's nice. Charles. That's really nice.
So there's a part of Francis that is still alive, that, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Right.
That you've got that. So anyway, sorry about all those spoilers.
It's amazing that Winston Graham thought that far ahead, isn't it?
And it's fascinating that after book 4, which is when this series will end, is where he stopped writing Poldark and didn't start again for 20 years.
But then he wrote a lot of other books.
He did.
None of which I can find, by the way.
Can't you?
Not really.
To be honest, I haven't really looked at any of his other books.
There's loads of them. He wrote loads and loads of different books. But no, to summarise, essentially, it was phenomenal.
One of the best episodes of a period drama I have ever seen. I would argue.
I think so.
It was phenomenal. The cinematography, the costume, lighting, everying, all the crew should get bloody applause for
that
what they did.
moment when Ross goes in and Demelza's at the piano, that was the light was just like glowing. The sun.
The scene where George came to Ross in his cell. And basically, tried to force him to...
every goddamn thing. I am in love. Yeah. And to be honest...
The guy who plays George, right, the only other thing I've seen him in is he's in a couple of the Shakespeare Globe DVDs that I've got, because he's done RSC and all that.
I think Kyle Soller's a theatre actor as
well.
He's
done loads of theatre stuff, So, but to see him playing this character who's so contrast, it's been fantastic. I think he's a great actor.
I really like that when you get an actor that can play the light as well as the dark, as really well.
Yeah,
because I think sometimes actors can either do one very well or the other very well. I mean, I'm coming to my mind is Robert De Niro, who can go dark as night, and then when he does stupid ass comedies, I'm like, why are you doing this?
Most things more about money, but
I'm so dirty grandpa.
Oh, don't even go there.
I've watched the trailer.
I've only watched the trailer,
and it made me feel ill.
I would not even contemplate watching that film. No.
Do you know what I mean? It's like shitting on your legacy. Just. But anyway, Poldark. Let's not get distracted.
Yeah. George, and that scene with George in the cell.
Yeah,
it was just phenomenal.
Have we covered everybody? I think we have.
We have. Yeah, everyone that was in there. Yeah. Oh, Ray Penvenen was pretty cool. It was what's his name? Oh God, what's his name from Midsummer Murders? God, I've forgotten his name. I'll put it in the description. But it was quite interesting hearing him with the Cornish hearing him with the Cornish accent.
Oh, I know.
And he kind of like some words he was forcing it a bit. Some words he was forcing it.
It was a little bit off. It was a little bit off,
but he wasn't too bad. But everyone else, covered.
I think we have, yeah. But no, Sunday is but 2 days away.
It's the trial.
It's going to be so good. So good. Yeah. But hopefully we'll have another one of these perhaps when the series ends.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it. We'll do a reflection thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
all right then. Thanks for watching. Oh God, 31 minutes.
Do you know what? I don't mind actually that these are like ridiculously long.
No,
videos.
if you stuck really with us, thank you so much.
Thank
If you've got any comments,
Bye.
feel free to comment, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.